What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Legion, Season 1, Episode 4, Chapter 4. And this show... This show is proving to me that I'm not as smart or as clever as I think I am. Because there's so many times where I say something in one of these reviews, and then I watch the next episode, and the show's just like... smacks me in the face and says, you were wrong. And yeah, time after time just keeps blowing my mind, keeps screwing with me. I never know what to expect anymore. So let's talk about this episode. First of all, we see from the very beginning, this is a mainly Sid-focused episode. David obviously still is involved and still has scenes from time to time, but this is mainly Sid's story for this episode. She's narrating at the beginning. She's talking about the mission, going to talk to the girlfriend, going to get the doctor, all of that stuff. And honestly, at first I thought, oh, they're spoiling something for us, so we know where this is going, because we see little clips of them talking to people. We see a clip of the eye. Still don't know what his true name is, but we see him like kicking her and knocking her out. And so I'm just like, I feel like this has spoiled something for me now. Like, I feel like I know what's going to happen. And so as they're going through, following these little... They find the girlfriend. Patanomy uses her memory to find out where the doctor is. So they go to the lighthouse where the doctor's staying, and then they get there, and then all of a sudden the guy with the milky eye... Apparently he's able to pretend to be somebody else. I don't know how. I'm starting to wonder if maybe he's also got the ability to get inside people's minds, just like kind of like what Patanomy does. Because he was pretending to be the doctor that whole time, and all of a sudden there he is. So that was very interesting. But we see, all of a sudden all these agents from Division 3 show up, and they start shooting up the place. So our heroes head upstairs, somehow not getting hit by one single bullet, which was pretty strange. The eye wasn't getting hit by any bullets either, so that was also odd. But they get up there, and all of a sudden we see Carrie apparently is ready to go kick some ass, and so she's like, I'm tired of all the talking. So she jumps out the window, and then we see her fighting the agents while Patanomy is shooting at the eye, and it's like his bullets aren't working for some reason. So he tries to fist fight him, but he touches him, and all of a sudden he's like knocked out and lays him on the bed. And so Sid goes up, and then she touches his hand. And at that point, I was like, oh, this scene makes so much more sense now. Because we see she is now the eye. And so whenever the agents come up, the eye as Sid is like, no, it's a trick. And then he kicks her to knock her out, essentially knocking him out. And so he's just like, put them in the truck, I'll take them with me. I'm just like, this is genius. So it was pretty clever to have that scene at the beginning, make us think, oh, we know where this is going, just for it to be like, oh, no, it's not going where you thought it was. And now all of a sudden, Sid has control of the situation. However, things do not always go as planned. We see from David's side, first we see Oliver at the beginning talking, and at that point we don't really know who he is. But he's telling this story about fear, and how it's like you can tell two different stories, and one is about like a bunny who's, I don't know, like exploring and stuff, and how it's always nice to go out and explore and see the world. And then you tell the story about, Jimmy, don't get close to the water or else you get sucked out by the ocean. It's like, that's a story of fear. And so then he's like, here's the story of the bunny who got too close to the ocean. Almost like saying, this is a two-sided story. Like, you have your times where you have to be careful or else things are going to hurt you. But you also have the side where it's just like, you have to explore. You have to go out and see new things. You can't just stay inside your little bubble. So I thought that was an interesting analogy to start off with. But as it's going along, at some point we see Melanie and the other Carrie are still at the school, and they're heading down to this room, and they go in, and it's frozen, and there's a guy in a diving suit in there. It's just like, wait, what? And so then we all of a sudden see David. He's in the astral plane, like in his mind somehow. And so all of a sudden he sees the diving suit as well and is like, come follow me. He follows the diving suit up to the little ice thing that we saw Oliver at the beginning, and that's when he introduces himself as Oliver. It's like, okay, so he is Melanie's late husband. I guess somehow his mind has also been projected to the astral plane. So that's why his body is still there. I don't know. It was kind of thrown in there, and I'm just like, I see this is having some meaning later on. I'm pretty sure. But then he starts talking to David, and just telling him, you can't go back out there. The demon is or the monster is waiting for you, and so it's kind of lending a little bit of weight to the argument of this monster is not David. This monster is connected to David and his powers, but it's not David's doing. This is something he can't control. So, still kind of on the fence about that, whether or not this is David's subconscious, this is David's power manifesting in an evil spirit, this is just an evil spirit that gives David his power. I don't know. But it is, just making things harder, making more questions than it's answering, and that's kind of the point of the show right now. But we see David leaves the room and finds Lenny. Well, earlier in the episode, we see Sid and Ptolemy talking to Philly, his old girlfriend, and she was saying Benny. Saying, Benny, I thought it was Lenny. He's like, no, it's Benny, he's a guy. And all of a sudden, we start to realize that Lenny was actually Benny the whole time. And it was a guy that he was talking to in his memories whenever he's heading back before the asylum. However, Sid saw Lenny, the girl, at the asylum. So the question is Benny and Lenny, are they just manifestations of the demon, like a physical manifestation of the demon inside of David? Or was there actually a Benny and then there was a Lenny, and they just were so similar that David's mind kind of combined the two? What it did do, though, it made it kind of funny, like looking back now and seeing some of those scenes, they make a lot more sense now. Because at first, one of the biggest questions I had is like, how come Philly wasn't getting upset about the fact that there was a woman with David inside the apartment? Like, I don't know, unless she knew Lenny really well and knew that something was off. And then, of course, there was the other scene where Lenny was saying something about, how he had to finger a girl to get this thing or something like that. And I'm just like, wait, so she's a lesbian? Okay. But now all of a sudden it makes sense because it was actually a guy. And in fact, there was a scene where, like I said, David goes into his mind, Lenny's there, and he's just like, blow me. I don't roll that way, bro. I'm just like, now it makes more sense knowing that this is actually supposed to be a guy that he's talking to. But, so anyway, we see Lenny is there, still tormenting him. And this is why I'm kind of wondering if maybe Lenny and Benny are kind of the physical and mental manifestations of the demon with the yellow eyes. If this is somehow the demon talking to him through these people. No matter the case, we see all of a sudden pulls up a TV screen in David's mind and shows Sid as the Eye about to inject the Eye as Sid. And so he, of course, sees that as, oh no, Sid's in trouble, so uses his power in a very bizarre kind of... It was very bizarrely edited, just how it sort of combined the two, and then all of a sudden he is the demon. It was very strange, and not really sure where that's leading to, but manages to get back to the real world, and shows up in the middle of the road, right in front of the truck that Sid is driving as the Eye. And so crashes. He goes to help Sid, cuts her ties, but of course still the Eye, so pulls out a knife and is about to stab him. Sid, as the Eye, throws a little whatever it's called. What is that called? I should know that, but I don't know enough about cars. Throws one of those little pipe-looking things that you use to twist off the nuts on a on a wheel, maybe a wheel wrench, tire wrench. Throws it at him, knocks the knife out of his hand, and then he's just like, "Go, run! I'll protect you." And so Sid, as the Eye, gets out to grab the Eye as Sid. David goes, tackles her. No, David, it's not me. It's not me. And then all of a sudden, at that point, they switch. And so now he realizes, oh, this is Sid, and that's the Eye. And we see Carrie's running at him. Pulls out a gun, shoots Carrie, and then the older Carrie also is getting hurt by it. So that's kind of how this ends with just that. um, and of course, well, there was that final scene that, once again, I feel like is lending weight to the fact that Lenny is not Lenny. She puts a hand around his shoulder and pops up and just evil smile on her face. It's just like, okay, so something's clearly wrong here. But overall, I mean, this story is very, very interesting. It's engaging. You want to see what's going to happen next. It's confusing at times, but by the end of it, you kind of start to get a feel of what exactly is going on. And it's just a lot of fun to watch. Even the side characters in this one, like Carrie got a lot more build. And, I was saying at first I thought it was Carrie, the older man, was just talking to himself. And then I realized that Carrie was also the little girl, and so I'm like, oh, so he was talking to her the whole time. And then all of a sudden in this one we find out that apparently they share the same body, and so sometimes he'll let her out, and so that's why there are sometimes whenever he's talking to himself, he's actually talking to the Carrie, the girl, but she's inside of him at that point, because that's his power. I'm just like, okay, well, I was completely wrong about everything here, so I'm just going to shut up trying to figure that out and just let them explain it to me. But yeah, that was kind of interesting, but it's also interesting seeing that they are connected. And he was asking at one point in the middle of the episode, and this made it a little bit predictable. He was asking, what happens if I die or she. And at that point, I'm just kind of like, okay, so clearly she's going to get hurt at some point, or she's going to die in this episode, right? And so when they're fighting in the woods and she's fighting the guys, it was pretty cool seeing like the parallels between, she's punching and twirling and kicking guys, and we see him inside of the MRI room where David is, and he's kicking stuff and he's doing the same stuff that she's doing. So you could see how they're connected, and then all of a sudden when she starts getting hit, he's feeling the same thing as well. And so whenever she gets shot at the end, he pretty much got shot as well. So it is kind of a question of, what does this mean? If she does die, does that mean he dies? If he dies, does she die? How are they connected? Does it go both ways, or is it just one way? Clearly he feels the pain that she's feeling, but does that mean that they both die at the same time? I'm assuming we'll figure that out. I'm not sure if she's actually dead, because she did just get shot in the shoulder. It wasn't like in the heart or anything. So curious to see if she's still going to be alive next episode. Be a little bit of a shame for her to go. She's pretty. Anyway, but I mean, the rest of the story, we did have another scene with David's sister Amy. She apparently finds Dr. Kissinger. They're in a connected cell, which I feel like is almost, I don't know. I feel like they set this up almost. I was wondering if we were going to see at the end, like, they come to Dr. Kissinger, like, good work finding out about the boy or something like that. But for now, things are still the same there. They're just in two cells that they can hear each other talk, because there's like a glass wall with some holes in it for oxygen. And so they're talking to each other through the holes and talking softly. And we do find out that the whole time the dog didn't exist. So another Sherlock moment. If you watch that show, you'll know what I'm talking about. But that does beg the question: what is the dog? Is this dog? Is it the manifestation of the demon, or is it is it the angry boy somehow? There was the one moment where the dog ran behind the fence and they were looking for it, and he comes across the world's angriest boy back there. So I am curious to see what the dog represents and what it's supposed to be. But it also begs the question, all these scenes with Amy, how much of it is true? We haven't really seen Amy that much. She's been kind of showing up in bits and pieces in every episode. So how many of these memories that he's been having with Amy as a kid, how many of those are real, and how much of it is his mind kind of protecting him and making these memories seem a lot different than they actually are? And honestly, overall, we're seeing that we really don't know if we can trust David's memories right now. We're seeing these scenes where, of course, we saw a lot of really creepy scenes in the last one where they went into David's mind and Sid was there as well. But she does bring up a very good question. What if his mind is actually creating false memories? We see these moments where Sid sees him like eating all of the video or no audio tape. We see David like killing the doctor or hitting him over the head or something like that. So we're seeing all of these different scenes that could or could not be real. And so I'm wondering how far that's going to go. I'm wondering how far are we from the truth based on David's false memories. So I'm very curious to see what the truth is going to be after all of this, because that's kind of the fun of the show, is just getting into it, trying to figure out what's real and what's not, and ultimately, even now, I still have no idea. I don't even really have a guess as to what's real and what's not. So it's a lot of fun. Really enjoying it so far. So I think they were halfway through because there are only 8 episodes, which is really sad. I was hoping it'd be a bit longer, but for now, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next. I look forward to seeing what they're going to do from here. It's a lot of fun. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. I'm sorry, still kind of waking up a little bit. Let me know what you guys think. We can talk about it, discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Legion reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.